costs are taking up an increasing share of medical expenses, and because of this, the researchers were looking for a solution to help with this problem. And the cost of Ozempic and its similar drugs is now playing a much more significant role in driving overall pharmacy costs. With that being said, I guess the main or one of the bigger risks to this sector would be a very expensive drug with really high utilization. So one example of this was back in 2014. Several cures for hepatitis C were developed and approved, and this caused a huge spike in utilization with rather large cost increases to the industry. So the key findings for the case studies were twofold. So first, for patients with diabetes, those taking GLP-1s or glucagon-like peptide 1s and SGLT2 inhibitors, sodium glucose transport proteins, those both exhibited reductions in medical total cost of care that partially offset the increase in the prescription costs. The net incremental cost of these drugs after use would then be the value add that needs to be attained through other measures, such as cost reductions due to rebates and benefits through quality. So quality life years increases. Now, for patients with high cholesterol, those taking some of the less expensive statins exhibited lower incremental cost increases than those taking PCSK9s, and those are more expensive. Although the numbers change when rebates were taken into account, PCSK9 rebates are not likely to reach a level necessary to reach parity with the statins. However, if taken over several years, these savings might be plausible. So this study looked at a 1-year period and didn't see as much savings there. So a value-based reimbursement methodology means that parties providing the services end up sharing some of the risk of the products with the purchasers. This includes sharing financial consequences of future outcomes for patients receiving services. This has generally been associated with provider reimbursements on the medical side, such as physician groups. Now, when it comes to pharmacy, a value-based methodology could result in payments for drugs based on the overall value that those drugs provide to each stakeholder. Value-based reimbursements for pharmacy costs could help insurance companies by shifting some of the risk of drug costs to the manufacturer. These types of arrangements could include revenue guarantees for the manufacturer and also reduced unit costs associated with higher volumes of prescriptions for the insured population. And then pharmacy rebates, of course, can play a big role here. So really, it's kind of meeting in the middle where manufacturers are guaranteed a certain amount of revenue, and then the insurers are capping their costs on a per use basis. And then as far as assisting patients, those would be helped by having more medications available to them. So of course, if you include a drug on a formulary, then the patients have access to it. And then also it allows insurers and employers to reduce some of the patient cost sharing. If they see savings on their end, then they can share some more of that with the patient. And then this would result in lower pharmacy costs to both the patients and to the employers, but also increased compliance where patients who can afford their medications are more likely to fill their prescriptions and adhere to their treatment protocols. So what we need in order to fully implement value-based reimbursement is really greater transparency by all parties involved. Because profit and income are a key part of the determining factor for all stakeholders, they need to show the value that they add for each step of the process, as well as the justification for the prices that they're charging. So by engaging in value-based arrangements, these entities can share more in the risks and the results of potential outcomes. This means that drugs that provide treatments and cures at reasonable cost can help create favorable outcomes for all parties involved.